The Vietnam War. Vietnam was originally one united country and for a long time lived under foreign rule. From the late 19th century, it was colonized by France and could not make its own important political and economic decisions. Because of this, many Vietnamese people began to dream of governing their country by themselves. This desire for independence became the starting point of many wars that later followed in Vietnam. After the end of World War II, the Vietnamese people began armed resistance to break free from French colonial rule. This war started in 1946 and lasted for about 8 years. Vietnam wanted to run its country as an independent nation, while France tried to maintain its colonial control. In 1954, France was defeated and the war came to an end. After the war with France ended, many countries gathered to discuss the future of Vietnam. This meeting was held in Geneva, Switzerland, and an international agreement was made to prevent further war. As a result, Vietnam was divided into the North and the South along the 17th parallel north. This division was meant to be temporary, but in reality it lasted for a long time and became the beginning of new conflicts. The northern part became North Vietnam, which chose a communist system. The southern part was ruled by the South Vietnamese government, which opposed communism. As regions that had once been one country followed different political paths, tensions steadily grew. This division became the most important cause leading to the Vietnam War. At that time, the world was living in a tense era called the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union did not fight each other directly, but competed to spread their political systems around the world. The United States believed that if one country became communist, neighboring countries would soon follow. This idea was called the domino theory and became a key way of viewing the Vietnam issue. The United States began various forms of support to prevent South Vietnam from becoming communist. At first, it sent military advisors rather than combat troops to provide training and advice. However, the fighting grew worse, and the South Vietnamese government could not cope on its own. As a result, American involvement gradually deepened, changing the nature of the war. In 1964, reports emerged that an American naval ship had been attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin. This incident shocked American society and changed how people viewed the war. The United States Congress granted the President authority to expand military action. This decision became a major turning point that greatly escalated the Vietnam War. In 1965, large numbers of American ground troops landed in South Vietnam. From this point on, the Vietnam War took on the character of an international full-scale war. The scale of troops, weapons, and airstrikes grew beyond comparison with earlier stages. All of Vietnam began to feel the direct impact of the war. The Vietnam War was a war in which helicopters were used on a massive scale. Soldiers used helicopters to move quickly into jungles and villages for operations. The front lines were unclear, and battles often broke out suddenly without warning. Because of this, the line between civilians and soldiers was often blurred. An important force in the war was the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong were a communist-oriented armed group operating in South Vietnam. Rather than fighting openly like a regular army, they used guerrilla tactics, hiding and launching surprise attacks. This made it very difficult to tell who was a fighter and who was a civilian. Vietnam's vast and complex jungle terrain made the war even more difficult. The enemy hid in the jungle, and attacks could happen anywhere at any time. Soldiers had to remain tense day and night without rest. The war placed a heavy burden not only on their bodies, but also on their minds. The American military used chemical defoliants to destroy enemy hiding places. These chemicals caused trees and plants to wither and die, stripping away forests. The forests disappeared quickly, but long-lasting damage remained in the soil, water, and human health. This problem continued long after the war had ended. In 1968, a tragic incident occurred in My Lai village in central Vietnam, where many civilians were killed. The village was not a military base or a battlefield, but a quiet farming community. During a military operation, the area was mistakenly judged to be an enemy stronghold, leading to great suffering for innocent people. This event remains an example of how war can destroy humanity through fear and terrible mistakes. That same year, North Vietnam and the Viet Cong launched a large-scale attack known as the Tet Offensive. Tet is the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, and the timing of the attack itself was a great shock. Although they suffered heavy military losses, the offensive had a huge impact on the course of the war. In American society, confidence in continuing the war was deeply shaken. The Vietnam War was reported daily on television. People were able to watch real scenes of war from their own homes. This was a new experience rarely seen in earlier wars. As the harsh reality of war was revealed, opposition to the war steadily grew. Protests against the war spread across the United States and other countries. Students and citizens actively took to the streets to raise their voices. People questioned why they should continue fighting a war in a distant land. These voices placed increasing pressure on governments and political leaders. In 1973, the United States withdrew its troops from Vietnam through a peace agreement. However, fighting within Vietnam did not end immediately. In 1975, North Vietnamese forces entered Saigon, and the war finally came to an end. The Vietnam War was a long and painful conflict that lasted about 20 years. The war ended, but its effects remained for a long time. Unexploded bombs and damage from chemical agents are still problems that must be addressed today. Many people continue to live with the memories and wounds of the war. This story is a record meant to help us understand the marks that war leaves on a society.